Objectives are an incredibly important part of lesson planning. Objectives provide a roadmap for where a lesson is going and should be specific, clearly written, unambiguous, and results-oriented. They should be measurable and observable to be truly effective, which is why using verbs like learn or understand do not make very good objectives, as these words are hard to measure. Let's examine the ABCD structure of writing objectives. One thing to note is that objectives in the ABCD format do not need to be written in exactly that order, but should include all of the ABCD elements. A stands for audience. Things to ask yourself. Who are the learners? Who is to exhibit the performance? Examples include your students, English 101 students, or the participants. B stands for behavior. Things to ask yourself. What is the observable behavior? What is the task to be accomplished? Ultimately, behavior describes the learner capability and must be measurable and observable. Examples include will be able to identify, will be able to describe the steps, will be able to write an essay, or will be able to present a topic. For more information about behavior, check out the handout in the Resources tab about operationalizable verbs. C stands for condition. Things to ask yourself. What are the circumstances for performing the task? What are the conditions under which the behavior will occur? Condition describes the tools that might be used in order to complete the specific behavior. Different environmental conditions can also be included here. Examples include given a map, with a partner, during a discussion, given a chart, or given a passage. D stands for degree. Things to ask yourself. What constitutes a minimum acceptable response? At what degree of proficiency is the task to be accomplished? Degree describes the standard for acceptable performance, such as accuracy, time, quality, and proportion. Examples include with 65% accuracy, without errors, within 10 minutes, 3 times, 8 out of 10, or within the time allotted.
They were really hard to operationalize at first when I first started taking methods. And I think they were hard for everybody. People got really confused about the C and the D. What was that? Degree and what was C? Do you remember what the ABC? Condition. A lot of us had a hard time finding the difference between those, and if like a degree was even necessary, like with 75% accuracy, and we questioned it, and definitely, it's good to question things and be critical of that, but it gets easier for sure. It gets easier. It gives you something to aim for, so you're not just, freewheeling. So that's good.
Yeah, I think of them as goals. Like, what is your intended purpose for the day? And then what's your intended purpose for the next day and the week and so on and so forth.
I don't really know that I've taught in a way that didn't have objectives, so I guess going forward I'll probably try to keep doing them until they stop working for me.
I think that the reflection part of it is good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that prior and post, especially post, and it doesn't have to be that long, but this is what I wanted to do, this is what we did, this is what I want to do next time. Like that sort of thing, so that there's at least some sort of continuity, and when it's fresh, you have so much more to add on, and also it's easier. It's like you wait a week to write something, you'll forget, but if you do it that night, you'll remember, and just get done with it in 5 minutes.
I think if you have clear objectives and you know what they are, then your students will know what they are. Even if you don't write down this is what we're going to be doing today, they'll get it through just the little course of the lesson. Oh, okay, I know what we're doing and I know what I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
That's important.
And students can know why they're in that class.
Mm-hmm.
Also, objectives are important, not only for your teaching and your students, but also where you're teaching. Sometimes the school might have some kind of test, the standardized test the students have to take, or some kind of project they have to do for the school, and your objectives should line up with that so that the students can do that.
I think that's a good practice, just to kind of self-monitor and monitor your students to see, okay, what I wanted them to do today, did they do it? with any great success did we even get to it. I mean, that's important to think about, but you shouldn't really beat yourself up if they didn't, or if you didn't get there, because things happen.
I think it ties into scaffolding too. Like if you have a goal that you need to reach by the end of like a lesson that's over a couple days or something. I know in Peace Corps, like the book I followed had like at the end of each block of lessons, they had to do some sort of writing task, and so I'd make sure by the time they reached that, they had already done like little samples of a writing that they could then piece together entirely into a bigger writing.
It's in my head, and like I know that there are objectives that I have to what I'm doing, but I just hate that it has to like be this like specific format.
I actually do make sure that I know what my objectives are before I go into a class, because again, I'm a planner. And I want to make sure that I'm teaching what I'm supposed to be teaching, or what in my mind I think I'm teaching. I want to make sure that that's happening. So yeah, I always made sure that in my lesson plan, again, I followed the template, and I would write objectives. Maybe not as, you know, what's the word
The SWABAT.
The SWABAT, yeah. Not as in-depth as SWABAT, but at least I would have an idea of what I was supposed to be doing in class for that day and how it was going to lead into the next lesson for the next day.
Objectives are really important. I'm personally not as good at doing that. Probably because I'm less of a planner. I can think of a great activity and then kind of lose track of my objectives when I do it. And so I always have to remind myself, what is it that I'm really trying to teach?
We usually don't have it like written fully out, so I will assess this by blah blah blah. It's usually me writing, jotting down, you know, teacher will ask questions kind of thing. And just by saying that I'm assessing that, right? I'm assessing their understanding of what we just went over. If I'm asking comprehension questions, or yeah, if we do a worksheet, right there is an assessment of what we just covered. If we do a game, their participation in the game and how well they understand everything in the game, that's the assessment. So it's not always, you know, blatantly written out for me.
I got marked down in my lesson plans in methods for not having that.
I did it when I was in methods, like on my lesson plans, but in real life, like I said, I would have an objective and I don't necessarily write it down. Is that what you're getting at? If we like actually write these things down? Yeah, no, I would never write it down like so in depth as the ABCD method. I would write down what my objective aim was, but
my future teaching, what I want to do, I don't know if I'll actually spend the time to do this, but I want to write at least my own overall lesson plan for the entire course of a class before the class starts, and that way I won't have to worry about each lesson and have them worry about them fitting together. And so I might use that just to make sure that I know what I'm doing for
the entire course.
The entire course.
Have like a goal to reach by the end of the course. That would be helpful.
Yeah, basically a mini curriculum that would fit into an overarching curriculum that the school might have.